Alright guys, and welcome to an Azir rank game. This one is an unusual one. I have not recorded this game. I was just playing a casual rank game. I'm just trying to get my LP. But it is pretty interesting. The game itself is very interesting. It is actually a game which went back and forth quite a bit, and there's a lot that can be learned from such a game. And as I'm doing more and more, explanatorial things, more and more in-depth analysis, and also looking to coaching. It is pretty useful for me as well as for you guys to see me analyze my own game, which is one of the most important things to get better in League, is analyzing your own games and checking out for your own mistakes or how the game went on and how you can make it happen. So for this regard, I will analyze the game under certain aspects. I will check for how the matchup goes and how I played the matchup. Analyze the mistakes I made in the early game, because there were some mistakes. Analyze what should have happened, like what is the theory or the theoretical best plays that should be made, the best approach in this matchup, and how it went down in fact. And analyze how I can improve upon this in the early game. And then look on later team fights. The game was, as I said, quite back and forth, quite messy. So without further ado, let's start the game. I will the first parts of laning phase I'll speed up just to get quicker through the game. It was quite a long one. So what we'll do here is speed up. As you can see, it's just farming. So okay, actually let me pause for a moment. The first and most important thing in this matchup is to know, okay, this is a Yasuo with a Sec jungle. We have a Kayn jungle. So there's a complete different approach to this game. Yasuo, in my opinion, as a melee, gets punished by Azir quite early and quite strongly, especially pre-level 6 if you go for aggressive runes. Hence I'm going for Ignite, as you can see. I use Ignite, Hail of Blades, and the Scorch approach, so I have quite the aggressive laning runes. While Yasuo, on the other hand, runs Conqueror and runs Doran's Blade, which means he doesn't really have a lot of sustain. So what could be common is that Yasuo goes for Fleet Footwork, something I would recommend to care for. Fleet Footwork and Doran's Shield will basically neglect or negate everything that you can do with your poke and early game harassment. Or not everything, but quite a lot, and makes it a lot easier for him to last it without getting poked. So as you can see, I did not quite poke him yet. What I wanted to do, first mission, is I will try to freeze the wave in front of my turret. As we have a Kayn and they have a Zac, the Zac is much more likely to look for early ganks as the Kayn is. And I avoid these ganks by getting the wave under my turret, so holy shit, this is fast. I'll actually slow it down because this was rather important. So as you could see, Yasuo went for an early trade. I took the trade, but on the other hand, while Yasuo looked for the trade, he pushed the minion wave quite aggressively. So as you can see right now, I have the minion wave kind of in front of my turret, and I kind of managed to freeze it slightly in front of my turret. So this is where the lane matchup becomes much easier for me than for him. I took a bad trade, got much lower than needed, but I managed to do the first most important thing, which is freeze the wave. Now I can harass Yasuo. As you can see, for every minion that he's taking, he takes quite a bit of harassment. And I try to keep this wave somewhat in this position for as long as possible. It will eventually break automatically, but right now it is a perfect position for me to kind of bully him a bit and make up for a little bit of this CS difference that I made due to poor CSing early on. So this is equal minion count, or I have more minions, so now it will start to slow push to him, which means he's actually in a safe position, can just wait out a bit until the wave reaches him. But right now he has no pot anymore, he's much lower than me, and I have still quite a bit of mana. And if he goes for these minions, as you can see, I can take quite the aggressive trades, seeing that Zac is bot lane. So right now he's extremely low. What I do now, not seeing Yasuo, is I ping my Kayn to come push this wave with me, because I expect him to try and stay and want to dive him as a follow-up with my Ignite. As you can see, Yasuo has a pretty low HP, like 250 or so. So what I wonder now is that the Kayn went away. I expected Kayn to stay here and dive Yasuo with me, which would have been really free and I spam ping the Kayn to come, and now I do the first mistake. I try to punish Yasuo when he's so far back. I took a turret shot, and now, what you have to keep in mind, Kayn shared a lot of XP with me. As you can see now, Yasuo hits level 5 on this minion. And now I'm level 4 still, so what he does now is all in me with a level advantage. And it's extremely close. I need one more auto attack to kill him and live, rather than the other way around, but it doesn't work. I did not get level 5 before him, not even on the same time as him, I think. And I end up having a real big problem in this lane now. Okay, I am at level 5 now, but it is delayed. I have a big problem now. He makes it to this wave, pushes it in, has a free kill, 10 CS advantage. So, just to kind of illustrate again, the idea of this lane was to freeze the first waves in front of my turret, poke him so low that he eventually is so low HP that he can dove on the turret, which would have worked if the Kayn was coming around with this large wave. We would have denied him like 2 waves or so with the dive. Even if we traded 1 for 1, it would have been totally worth. He also would have lost a lot of XP. Instead, I tried to overly force that play. It was the right play, generally speaking, because it was such a large wave that denying him would be winning the game already. Sadly, I overreached. I hit him when he's so far back that I take a turret shot as a trade, and was too low HP to survive the level 4 versus level 5 all in afterwards. Now I'm in a little bit of trouble. He gets level 6 before me, which I know, so I play kind of back. And on the same thing, not only does he get level 6 before me, he got it right now. I need this one minion here, by the way, to get level 6, so I play in range and just save afterwards. He's taking some poor plays. So it is pretty important to keep all these little things in mind, how this lane is going to play out, when he wants to choose this all in. But the reason I'm in trouble now is I have to win this matchup pre-6, because post level 6 the Zek ganks become even more harmful to me, because Yasuo can just follow them up with his R if I get CC'd by anything. So I have to respect a lot here. As you can see, I'm still winning the trades. I'm playing the matchup right now pretty precisely. Kayn kind of fucks up a bit. Now we have to care about the all-in by Yasuo, but luckily we get out. So what happens here, as you can see, the Zek starts to gank. I dodge the first damage, but not the second one, and manage to outplay them because Yasuo failed to use his wind wall. The Zek flashed, and I end up with a huge play. Sadly, I'm out of mana, and I can't kill Yasuo here as well with this low mana. So what I'll do is I'll just take the wave. Again, this was a misplay by Yasuo. I would have died there if he used his wind wall directly before using R, or directly afterwards. I managed to outplay them because of that, got a kill. And now, as you can see, the Yasuo overstays in this lane, kinda. He's pretty close to my turret, and the Kayn could easily come for a kill here, but decides against it. As I said, the problematic part for me begins when the Zek and Yasuo hit those level 4, level 5, level 6 areas. I kind of respect Zek being around. As you can see, he is right around trying to cover his extremely low HP Yasuo. I am kinda greedy. I want to keep this wave at least, get the wave, maybe get the Yasuo. As you can see, I have a little bit more mana right now. With this ward, actually, I see where he's backing. He knows that it's warded because Zek went into this brush. I face check, or not really face check, I just place a soldier interrupting him. He goes for an extremely greedy commit. So the first mistake that I could have made here is to use the soldier and step too far forward with it. What happens here is just very unlucky. I tried to move away from here because I expect Zek to jump in there. Instead he jumps over there somehow, knowing that I'm here. Okay, so I checked this brush, or let's say checked, I made it look like I check it, but I just placed the soldier around and wanted to just break the recall. Actually, he immediately flashed on top of me. And what I did there, which was the most important thing, is he used flash and E, and I tanked his damage with my E. That is pretty important. I did not use Q because I was rather low on mana, so using E there is much better. just to tank the damage, deal a little bit of damage, but mostly, yeah, this shield tanks the initial damage, and then I flashed away, and I had both sums used as well as him. So actually, once I flashed out, he had no more gap close on me, and I could hit him and use the ignite to finish him off. So a series of misplays from either side. Luckily for me, I managed to punish one of Yasuo's misplays by killing Zac, and the second misplay by killing Yasuo, and he only managed to punish one of mine. So the standard build is to go mana, and with the mana create more lane pressure. But still, it is pretty likely that they will try to play around this mid lane and set up the Yasuo for kills with the Zac R, especially as I'm now without flash. So what I try to do in this game is try to kind of ward to one side of the map and play to this side only. So what ends up happening now is, as you can see, the Zac is already hovering for a gank, and I play so far back, but it's not enough really. As you can see, he's charging his jump very early. I played it pretty well, it just wasn't enough. I shuffled the Yasuo under turret once he dashed towards me before he could get this knockup up. And tried to avoid the Zac gank entirely by dashing right after Yasuo. Sadly, the Zac managed to connect his first Q on me and then bound me back to a minion, so the Yasuo got the knockup and got out of the turret. This is kind of an outplay pattern that works regularly against Yasuos. Sadly, in this case, the Zac still managed to catch me right when I was like from here to here. So this is how hard you have to respect the threat of Zac. Yeah, they misplay here, they die, that's not really of matter. What matters is, as you can see, I'm pretty behind on CS, which is due to several minion waves being fucked up and me CSing pretty poorly in the first minutes. So this is how a really winning matchup and me playing the matchup in the first minutes pretty well can go wrong. I managed to freeze the wave, I managed to poke him. I just failed on the execution of the dive, which was the logical continuation, and failed to CS properly. Ends up being a big trouble for me. As you can see how the game unfolds right now, we have a hard losing bot lane right now, or a bot lane that's not even really losing but dying way too regularly. Enemy Wukong just leaves the top lane and roams a lot. What we have to do in this game is try to create trades, trade on the map, especially on objectives. So at first, I saw Yasuo top lane, and with this wave, obviously seeing Yasuo top lane, Wukong bot lane, I know I can push it. I want to get a plate maybe. I know that they're around Dragon. I respect that they come, so I played a little bit more towards top side, as you can see. Just get that one plate. I see they're a Dragon, now I can kind of move away and be safe. Our main goal is right now to reach the certain mid to late game, because we have the Kayn, we have the Azir, we have the Gangplank, so there's a lot of scaling options for us, and we have a great team comp for high range zoning control team fights with the GP barrels, with the Azir soldiers and the Varus poke. What we end up doing here, so you can see we're actually ahead on gold despite being down in kills and even being down in CS mid lane, for example. That is just due to the fact that our GP generated quite a bit of gold with the turret blades and CS. And yeah, we have, I think, more turret blades in general. Again, as you can see, I tried to freeze the wave. This is pretty important. At this point, I expected Zac to be around, then I saw him topside, so Yasuo left the lane, immediately I started pushing. You can now do two things, so let me pause for a moment. There's two main errors that can happen here. First error is you do this without seeing Zac. If you don't see Zac topside right now and do this, it could very well be that they just sit in this brush and the Zac jumps on you and for some reason manages to RU to hit you with the jump or with the Q bound, and they get an immediate kill on you. The second error that could go wrong is me following Yasuo there. Right now we just want to trade. We're kind of not strong as a skirmishing team. Like they have Zac, Yasuo, Wukong. That is an insane skirmishing squad. While we have Azir, GP, Kayn, Varus. champions that don't really offer a lot of engaged CC and just want to kind of play on range and play on a long lane where you can easily see where an enemy is coming from and just zone them away. So it is pretty bad if I follow now, because it's likely to be a bad fight, and even more problematic, I have no vision in the river, I could get caught. What I do is I push the wave, I see there's a fight escalating top lane, there's still some plates to be gained, this is a large wave, and for the kills that my team loses on top lane, as you can see, this is quite a dramatic scene. For the things that they lose on top lane, we get a lot of plates actually on the mid lane, and they lose some waves, and it's not even too bad, because in the end they share XP, they use the Herald, the Rift Herald anyway, and it actually charges in time for them. That is so lucky for them. But we trade, and trading objectives is what really matters when you're not in position to team fight. This is kind of the crucial part. So let me speed up this part. Okay, you can see I trade objectives. GP manages to 1v2 double kill them under turret while getting dove, which is fine. I stay for this one wave because I know they reset. They're likely to take a little bit of time until they're back. And right now, in game here, I had about a, I think 2.5k gold recall. As you can see now, what I'll buy in base is I'll upgrade to Ludens. This is a game where Ludens Echo Rush is pretty helpful because CDR and burst against those Yasuo Cassiopeia targets, and they don't really build a lot of MR. But I try to get Dove again. I managed to kill Cassio, catch her in the lane. Again, what you can see happens here is they commit 3 to 4 people, actually 4 people towards bot side diving, while the Cassio died in the lane. GP trades up on top lane. They take a lot of time doing this. GP is pretty intelligent with this R, clearing the turret. So there's no wave for them to take the turret right now. They lose out on tempo here. We pushed the mid lane turret, we pushed the top lane turret. Top lane is actually already gone. I have my passive covering me. I push the second wave. The Pantheon tries to flank me. I saw this on this ward. So I play kind of backwards and just let him run through my turret. He tanks it. But what happens is this wave gets onto the turret. We are grouped, they are not. GP zones Cassio just a bit and I finish the turret. So what we ended up trading with is 3 turrets, or 2 turrets here, this one and this one, several waves for a turret and some kills. You might think, okay, we lost 3 people or 2 people bot lane. You might think this is a problem, but it really isn't. This is right now us having complete control over mid lane. Mid tier 1 is still up, which means we have a lot of ability to roam into river. Okay, what happens here is some people are doing unnecessary overstays. Varus got caught, Kane kind of got low but managed to leave. They permanently group. They're still on solo XP. I'm up on XP at this point against Yasuo. I think I hit level 12 here really soon. The Yasuo is level 11. The Pantheon is level 9. The Zac is actually even on level, so is the GP. They get the Drake. But again, I catch a wave. I take it away from Varus because, yeah, he's running it, as you can see. So what happened here is Varus got caught again, but I managed to get a pretty nice positioning, and the Kane dealt quite a bit of damage there, and we kill one. But with the Yasuo R on Kane, he managed to get close on both of us and got a pretty nice dive. This was kind of unlucky. There were a lot of mechanical errors on my team's side. The Karma doesn't manage to kill the Yasuo. You can see it's a tragedy. But again, as you can see, while this happens, we get a top lane play and they waste... Oh, they don't really waste, but yeah, they kind of wasted TP. All of that is because they group and we split push. We have permanently someone dealing with a side wave, someone catching a wave, pushing it deep, getting a turret as a trade for what happens on the other side of the map. While they kind of group up, are permanently a 3 to 4 man squad looking for fights, which is their strength. But sharing EXP, not really getting too many objectives. Mid tier 1 is still up. And they don't manage to push it with this one either. So Varus again got caught. But they don't really have a wave to push this turret right now. I, by now, have Ludens, Seeker's Arm Guard and Stopwatch. The reason I'm not going for Nashus this game is it's pretty important to have a Stopwatch here. They have a Zac, Wukong, Yasuo, a lot of engaged CC, and if I avoid the crucial parts, I will live. So Kane looking for some hero plays here. It kind of works out actually. The Kane manages to heal up quite a bit, and now they're in a bad spot. Our GP and I are pretty strong, and we just managed to shred them afterwards with this beautiful GPR and our soldiers just hitting down the Wukong. We're lucky that Yasuo is not here. If this Yasuo is here, we just die to the Zek R. Instead they kinda int, we get a lot of shutdowns in gold. And by now this game is kinda turned. The Yasuo comes, but doesn't really get anything. I walk to get my blue buff, so right now I'm level 13, Yasuo is level 13 too. So I'm still same XP as Yasuo, and we got a 1k shutdown for GP right now on the Wukong. So we end up having 2 fat solo laners by now. Not as fat as the Yasuo, but still rather fat. GP is probably ahead of Wukong with his farm lead and the natural gold generated by his Q. What I'll do is I'll catch a wave. So look at what happens here. I know Yasuo's here. I kind of respect him a bit because I have no real way of killing him without my R right now. Now what he does is he does a wraparound, and I somehow watched what happened on the mid lane now, and he failed his point blank Q and manages to get shuffled and just dies on this. I played super safe. I don't get close until the very last moment. As you can see, he tried to outplay me, and it can work if I'm too early to commit on him. But yeah, that was pretty int by him. Our team manages to get beautiful team fights at the same point. So let me speed up. We have 3 people dead, and by now we are again up on gold, despite having an inting ADC and super fat carries or super fat solo lanes on the enemy team, because we traded objectives permanently. We traded objectives whenever something happened. Mid lane, there's a large fight happening, we speed down a bit. This was not really an important fight, they just kinda committed for something on the mid lane without reason. At this point, this is just unprecise play by them. We have perfect positioning, or rather good positioning, not perfect. They try to commit an Karma while getting hit by me. The Wukong dies because the main carries, me and GP, are permanently staying out of range and zoning them away. So I pinged for Nash here, seeing that they have like 2 main carries respawning in 30 seconds, while the others are without cooldowns or without really strong points. We have 4 people alive, 3 of them who are strong against Nash. But GP didn't want to, so we end up just taking a reset, pushing out some waves, getting the Drake. We're up 4k at this point, and I'm extremely fat now. GP is extremely fat, he has 3.5 items, I have 2.5 items. Actually, you could count this as 3 items because there is a Dark Seal on 10 stacks, and with the CDR gain from those 3 items, I get like 60 AP. What they did here was pretty good. They actually immediately went for the Nash. We had no pink ward in this, so they could immediately do it without us seeing in time. I had to respect here. Someone TP'd, I expected to get Pantheon art. Instead they just went for the Nash. And GP checked it with art, but it was too late, we were not in position. So what happens here is, I'll speed it up just a bit. We tried to do something out of it. I flanked and got Casio flash art. I Zonias and managed to shuffle 3 people back into my team, which means GP will get a lot of damage done on them. So it actually is not too bad. We kind of get down 2 to 3 Nash buffs, I think. Casio gets a counter kill here, and Wukong lives, I think, because GP runs to help with the Casio. But in the end, we got some counter kill, and it is not too problematic. We're still up on gold, and we have a late game comp. We have a stronger late game comp than they do. Yeah, so Varus again manages to get caught. Actually was on a large shutdown. This is pretty unlucky, was kind of a throw. Yeah, but that can happen solo queue. And the most important thing is we're still on this tier 1 mid lane, so they can't really get any deep vision in our jungle. This was the first time they really got any deep vision here, and this is not even really deep. So yeah, that is pretty helpful for us. I checked this brush. Right now our main job is not to get caught. Wait for them to run into our poke, into our zone control and make mistakes. Like this Yasuo, just taking a free trade here. I know they probably sit in the brush, not anymore now that Kayn is there. But what I'll see here is, I think really soon I'll catch the wave bot lane. Again, this is side lane control. always try and manage your side lanes. There's a lot of XP, a lot of gold gained on the side lanes. Yeah, there's just a battle happening. This was kind of int by my team, but they're mechanically good enough and strong enough as members or as champions to kind of manage to come. I immediately move as fast as I can, using a shuffle there. And this could go really south here, but I'm in time to deal enough damage to clean up them. And again, they run into our zone of threat with the GP barrels and my soldiers. The Sonya's was pretty crucial. Actually, I should have R'd earlier, but I really didn't expect Casio to tank so long. Yeah, it is kind of clown fiesta-ish, but the important part is, as you can see, this top lane wave is so large build up, it pushes. They lose all of this. Even if they win the fight, this wave will force them to first go back, clear the wave, and not be able to push. Same was mid lane. I think mid wave was pushed too. We do a lot of damage against the next turret here, try to finish the game because they have long respawn times. I deal tons of damage against the Zac and the Pantheon there. But they managed to defend it pretty close. However, both turrets down, still pushing side lanes. It is pretty okay if we take this overstay. We gave up some shutdowns, but they can't really push again. As you can see, pushing lane. This lane is not pushing anymore because it's stacked up here at some point. But yeah, this is kind of the trouble they run into. And they have an open nexus by now, and they can't really push. Mid lane wave, yeah, they leave this mid lane wave. So I think this was a mistake by their side. Again, what you should keep in mind is this mid lane tier 1 allows us to play extremely aggressive around this area, because we can always back off to this turret and defend it, or defend ourselves with it. So the best play for them would have been right now, I think, to just skip the Drake for a moment and push this one turret with this one wave they had. They abandoned it and Kane stalled a bit. He wanted to go for a hero play, which was totally unnecessary. It just lost us a bit of tempo. This is the third Drake. It doesn't really matter too much right now, because this game is 2 to 3 minutes before finish. GP does a beautiful R there, getting Cassiopeia so low and kind of catching her out. Varus tries to snipe her, Zac tries to defend her and overstays due to that. We're grouped, they're not really grouped, and Zac just dies to me without any MR, gets shred. Yasuo overstays, I get a shuffle on him, he windwalls too late. So suddenly we have 2 people caught and perfect squad in order to push. GP and I deal so much damage at this point and have so much zone control that for those kind of close range DPS threats that they have, gap closing on us is really hard. So this is kind of our win condition, and by split pushing and creating side lane threats and trading in objectives, we managed to get to this point where they have no winning chance against our team fight anymore. Yeah, there's some mechanical errors happening, that doesn't really matter. What you can learn from this game is mid lane, the idea to winning mid lane was to freeze the first waves and make sure that you can poke Yasuo while trying to hit under your turret. Because then you're safe from ganks and he has to overextend in the wave to get those CS. The second thing you can learn is, if you see your jungler not going for the most important and obvious dive that he should have gone for, you don't overcommit. It is limit testing there. It is pretty worth it if it works, but you don't really have to go underneath the turret. Just take a step back and wait until he tries to probably hit those ranged cannon, ranged minions that are further back from his turret, and then just punish him for those. If you don't kill him, you don't kill him. At least you manage to make it hard for him, and at least you made the theoretical correct play. Better not die for it, because that throws your lane. Then you obviously, if you're as good as I, you can outplay several of those ganks. Unluckily for me, I died to one of them or two, but outplayed several of them and got some kills in return. Got kind of clawed my way back into this game. And then it's pretty important that you don't get drawn into losing team fights, because keep in mind, you outscale with Azir most of the times. Your job is to enable yourself first and foremost, not enable your team. If you are to face check into the jungle there and get caught by Zac and Yasuo, that's way worse than your team dying on a side lane while you get the mid lane turret. So keep that in mind for your games. And yeah, last but not least, I mentioned in the beginning of this video that I do coaching. It is mostly efficient for Azir players because I am very profound on looking for mistakes when it comes to Azir, so just spotting those tiny things that you can do better in order to increase your winning chance as well as your understanding of the game in general. So if you are looking for a coach, especially on Azir, you can direct message me on YouTube via a comment. I will send you my Discord address. You can add me then, and we can have a talk about what you want to achieve in League, how you want to achieve it, and how I can maybe help you achieve that. As for the general typical view of us, if you like this kind of content, please, this kind of analytical content, please message me about it. Please leave a comment. Please maybe give a like. Tell me how I should change it up a bit, improve on it. This is a very long video because it is very in-depth and very analytical. It would be really nice to receive your feedback on that. And apart from that, just see you in the next one and have a great day and rise.